Hello everyone, welcome to Sahaj Times Ramayana edition. In these episodes, we'll be explaining the story of Shri Rama and the way he became King Rama. But let's start from the beginning.
The Ramayana can also be called Sitayaha Charitam Mahat, the sublime legend of Shri Sita, or Paulastya Vadha, the death of Paulastya, which is just another name for Ravana, that means a descendant of Paulastya. The composer of this epic was Valmiki, a great rishi who lived thousands of years ago, also known as Kavi, or the first poet. One day, Valmiki had a visitor in his ashram, Narada Muni, son of Shri Brahma. Since he was a traveling musician and a storyteller, Valmiki asked him if there was anyone in the world at the moment full of virtue, someone who has the best qualities of humanity within himself, someone who is the most ideal. Shri Rama, answered Narada Muni. Rama is as profound as the ocean, patient as the Mother Earth, and truthful as Dharma. He is as valiant as Vishnu, and his anger is like the fire that destroys the universe. Then Narada told the entire story of Shri Rama's life to Valmiki and left.
Sahaj side note. During a public program in New Delhi in the 1986, Shrimadaji explains, Sage Narada has told Sage Valmiki the name of Shri Rama because the right heart of Sage Valmiki was catching for all the dacoits. And she also explained in the 1985 in Melbourne, Australia, that Valmiki, who wrote Ramayana, was a man who was a thief and also a fisherman, and he became such a great saint.
Later on, after Narada left, Valmiki went to the Tamasa river, where he found two wonderful Crauncha birds, more precisely, a pair of Saras cranes dancing together in love with each other. Watching the Saras pair in love and in their own world, happy with themselves, the sage became content, knowing the magic of the diversity of life in this world and appreciating the ability of such innocent lives. But in such a moment of peaceful contemplation, a waiting hunter killed the male Saras with an arrow in front of Valmiki's eyes. He kept watching the female Saras, who in her grief continued to dance about the dead male Saras, hoping he would join her once again in their dance. In deep anguish at what he saw, Valmiki in his anger cursed the unknown hunter. And something happened in that moment. The lines that Valmiki spoke, born out of his grief, made it sound like a symphony of verses, and those words composed the first shloka ever existed. That's why Valmiki is known as the first poet. In fact, the word shloka comes from the word shoka, which means grief. Valmiki shared this discovery with his student Bharadwaja while they were returning from the river. Once they arrived at the ashram, Shri Brahma appeared in front of them. Valmiki truly was unable to speak or react. He and his students went about to make the arrangements to welcome Lord Brahma. After having welcomed him, with all the rituals and prayers, Valmiki sought permission to sit nearby to allow for discussion. Seated near Shri Brahma, the sage and his students began the slower rituals of offerings, one by one, fruits, ritualistic items and flowers, turn by turn, with solemn prayers. In completion, each one, led by Valmiki, sought the blessings of Brahma and sat themselves, curious and eager to know the reason for the sudden visit of the Creator himself to their ashram. And in that moment, Lord Brahma told Valmiki to use the shlokas to talk about Shri Rama's life, giving him the vision to see all that happened, even the thoughts of the characters, so the real story of Shri Rama could become popular. Once Shri Brahma showed the past, present and future of Shri Rama to the first poet, he had to start sharing it with someone. And he found two twins gifted with the sweetest voices and worthy to sing the story of Shri Rama, both raised in his ashram, the sons of Shri Rama and Shri Sita, Love and Kush. Love and Kush travelled all around the country singing Ramayana in villages and towns. One day in Ayodhya, Shri Rama himself happened to hear them and invited them to sing at his court in front of his brothers. And now, the story of Shri Rama begins.
Sahaj side note. In Aurangabad, India, in the 1989, Mataji explains that when Sita was taken away from her house, she stayed in another ashram in Nepal, and she was also pregnant of two children, Love and Kush. Later on, Love went to Russia and Kush to China. That's why those who went to Russia are called as Loves, and those who went to China are called as Kusha.
To the north of the Ganga was the great kingdom Koshala, made fertile by the river Sarayu. Its capital was Ayodhya, built by Manu, the famous ruler of the Solar dynasty. From Valmiki's description of the capital Koshala, it is clear that ancient Ayodhya was not inferior to our modern cities. King Dasharatha ruled the kingdom from the capital city of Ayodhya. He had fought on the side of the Devas, and his fame spread in the three worlds. He was the equal of Indra and Kubera. The people of Koshala were happy, contented, and virtuous. The land was protected by a mighty army, and no enemy could come anywhere near. It contained forts with moats around them, as well as many defensive installations, and true to its name, Ayodhya defied all enemies. Ayodhya means that which cannot be subdued by war. Dasharatha had 8 wise ministers, ever ready to advise him and execute his orders. Great sages like Vashishta and Vamadeva and other Brahmins taught the Dharma and performed rituals and sacrifices. Taxes were light, and punishment of crime was just and inflicted according to the capacity of the wrongdoer. Surrounded by the best counselors and statesmen, the king's splendor shone as the rising sun. Many years rolled smoothly by. In the midst of all this prosperity, Dasharatha had one regret. He had no son. One day, in early summer, he thought of performing a horse sacrifice for progeny. He consulted his religious masters, and on their advice, asked the sage Rishyasringa to perform the yajna. The yajna was a grand affair, and the invitees included many of the kings of the day. It was no easy thing to perform yajnas. The location and buildings of the sacrificial platform had to be attended to in detail, strictly according to prescribed rules. There were experts whose guidance was sought in arranging things. It meant the building of a new camp city, capable of accommodating tens of thousands and providing hospitality and entertainment for the invitees, who included the princes and sages of the land. Contemporaneously with the yajna in Ayodhya, there was a conference of the Devas in heaven. The Devas complained to Lord Brahma that Ravana, king of the demons, drunk with the power acquired by the boon granted to him by Brahma, was causing them untold misery and hardship. They represented to Brahma, "It is beyond our capacity to subdue, conquer, or kill Ravana. In the security of your boon, he has grown wicked and insolent and ill-treats all, even women. His desire is to dethrone Indra. You are our only refuge, and it is for you to devise a method by which Ravana can be slain and his despotism ended." Shri Brahma knew that he had granted to Ravana the boon prayed for by him, that he should be invulnerable and invincible against Devas, Asuras, Gandharvas, and other such beings. In his arrogance, Ravana did not care to ask for security against mankind. As Brahma revealed this fateful omission, all the gods rejoiced and turned to Vishnu. Back on earth, as the ghee was being poured into the fire and the flames shot up to meet it, from out of the flames came a majestic figure, resplendent like the noonday sun, holding a bowl of gold. Calling King Dasharatha by his name, the figure said, "The Devas are pleased with you and are answering your prayer. Here is payasam sent by the gods for your wives. You will be blessed with sons if they drink this divine beverage." With joy unbounded, Dasharatha received the bowl as he would receive a child, and distributed the payasam to his 3 wives, Kaushalya, Sumitra, and Kaikeyi. He asked Kaushalya to drink a half of the payasam, and he gave a half of what remained to Sumitra. Half of what was then left was drunk by Kaikeyi, and what remained was given to Sumitra again. And in due course, all of them were expectant mothers. Over the course of time, Dasharatha's sons were born. Rama to Queen Kaushalya and Bharata to Queen Kaikeyi. Queen Sumitra gave birth to twins, Lakshmana and Shatrugna, for she had drunk the divine payasam twice. In proportion to the quantity of payasam drunk by the respective mothers, the sons are traditionally considered to be parts of Vishnu. Rama was thus half Vishnu. Dasharatha's 4 sons were given all the training prescribed for princes. Rama and Lakshmana were specifically devoted to each other, and so were Bharata and Shatrugna. We can imagine that this special attachment arose out of the way the divine payasam was divided amongst the king's wives. King Dasharatha was happy to see his 4 sons grow up strong, virtuous, brave, and lovable, and with all other princely qualities. One day, as the king was contemplating his son's matrimony, ushers rushed in to announce that the great sage Vishwamitra had arrived to see him. Sage Vishwamitra's arrival at Ayodhya was unexpected, and King Dasharatha stepped down from his throne and advanced a few paces respectfully to receive the sage. Vishwamitra was a king who attained sainthood through terrible austerities. He had long ago exhibited his spiritual powers by starting to create another Brahma and a rival universe. King Dasharatha received Vishwamitra as Indra would welcome Brahma, and as he touched his feet, Vishwamitra said, "I am engaged in performing a sacrifice. As it nears completion, 2 powerful Rakshasas, Maricha and Subahu, defile it. Like other rishis, we could curse and destroy them, but that would be a waste of all our tapas. Our troubles will end if you send with me Rama, the eldest of your warlike sons. Under my care, he will grow in princely stature. He will surely defeat these Rakshasas, and his name will gather luster." For a few moments, Dasharatha stood speechless, but recovering from the shock, he begged the sage not to press his demand, and said, "Rama is not yet fully 16 years of age. How can he fight with Rakshasas? It is not right that I should send a mere lad to fight with them. I am here, and my army is ready to march." Sage Vishwamitra described Maricha and Subahu, and Ravana their master, and he demanded again that Rama should be sent along with him. Dasharatha persisted in refusal. Dasharatha's attempt to go back on his hasty word enraged Vishwamitra. The earth quaked, and the gods were afraid of the possible consequences of the sage's wrath.
Sahaj side note. In New Delhi, India, in the 1977, Shrimataji talks about Vishwamitra, saying that people like him are really hot-tempered people. because they had no wife, no children, nothing, no balancing. They used to eat grass and some leaves. Naturally, such people had to be hot-tempered.
Vashista now turned to the king and spoke gently. It ill becomes you, king, to refuse having promised once. Born in the Ikshvaku line, you cannot do it. Having once said, I will do, you have no option but to do it. Failing, you will lose the merit of all your great gifts and deeds. Send Rama with the sage, and send Lakshmana too. You need have no fear for their safety. When they are protected by sage Vishwamitra, no Rakshasa can hurt them. Listening to the wise Vashista, King Dasharatha saw things clearly and made up his mind to send Rama and Lakshmana. The king, the queen mothers, and sage Vashista blessed them and sent them with sage Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra, guardianship of a great rishi who had also been a renowned warrior and a teacher who could create a new world, and beside him, 2 princely pupils born to end the Rakshasa race. Sage Vishwamitra and the 2 princes spent the night on the bank of the river Sarayu. Before retiring, Vishwamitra initiated the princes in 2 secret mantras, Bala and Atibala, which had the virtue of guarding them from fatigue and harm. The following morning, after performing the usual rites, the sage and his pupils set out on their journey and reached the Ganga.
Sahaj side note: in Mumbai, 1975, Shrimataji talks about the gods, saying that it is very important that these gods are not insulted anywhere. They should be worshipped improperly. Our hands should be like that they are worshipable. People should feel that these hands have the flow of Sri Ganga. The reason why river Ganga is pure, that is because of the vibrations is flowing through your hands. The energy which is running whole universe is flowing through you.
They walked into a forest. This, Vishwamitra said, is the Tataka forest. What is now a terrible forest was once a well-peopled country. Once upon a time, Indra was contaminated by sin, having killed Vritra, and had therefore to exile himself from the world of the Devas. The Devas set to themselves the task of cleansing Indra. They brought waters from the sacred rivers and bathed him, to the accompaniment of mantras. The waters which cleansed Indra flowed into the ground and enriched the earth, and the land became tremendously fertile. Vishwamitra concluded, for long people lived here happily, till Tataka, wife of Sunda, a Yaksha, and her son Maricha, wrought havoc, and changed this into the dreadful wilderness it now is. They are still in this forest, and none dare enter it for fear of Tataka. I have brought you here to rid the forest of this great enemy. There is no doubt that this monster, who is a source of trouble to the rishis, will be destroyed by you. Rama, who listened to this, asked the sage, you say she is a yaksha. I have never heard that yakshas are particularly strong. What is more, how did she come to possess so much strength? Her strength comes from a boon granted by Brahma. There lives a yaksha by the name Suketu. Having no progeny, he performed tapas and won a boon from Brahma. Thus, you will have a beautiful daughter of great strength of body, but you will have no son. Suketu's daughter, Tataka, beautiful and strong, was married to Sunda, a yaksha, and their child was Maricha. Later on, Sunda was cursed by Rishi Agastya, a Purana, and died. Provoked by this, Tataka and Maricha pounced on Agastya who cursed them to be monsters living on the carcasses of men. So Tataka was cursed to live as a flesh-eating monster. So saying, Shri Rama strung his bow and twanged it, till the forest echoed to its shrill note and the wild animals scattered in all directions in terror. It reached Tataka in her fastness, filling her with amazement at the audacious intruder who dared enter her domain. Raging with anger, she ran in the direction where the sound came from and sprang on Rama. The battle began. The prince at first thought of cutting off the limbs of the monster and sparing her life, but Tataka attacked fiercely, and rising in the sky, she rained stones on Rama and Lakshmana. The two princes defended themselves against the attack. The fight continued, and Vishwamitra cautioned Rama against delay in dealing the death blow to the monster. "She deserves no sympathy," he said. "The sun is about to set, and remember that at night, Rakshasas grow stronger. Do not delay to slay her." Thus advised, Rama decided on killing Tataka and pierced her chest with a deadly arrow, and the huge, ugly monster fell down, lifeless. The Devas cheered, and Vishwamitra, filled with joy, embraced Rama and blessed him. With Tataka's end, the forest was freed from the curse and became beautiful to see. The princes spent the night there, and next morning they proceeded to Vishwamitra's ashram. At dawn the next day, Vishwamitra called Rama to his side and, blessing him, said, "I am very happy indeed. What can I do for you in return for all that you have done? I shall teach you the use of the astras." So saying, Vishwamitra gave Rama the divine astras, which he had obtained through his tapas, and taught him the use, control, and recall of the various divine weapons. And Rama, in his turn, imparted the knowledge to Lakshmana. As they continued the journey, Rama pointed to a big hill with a lovely forest on its slopes, and asked, "Is that the place where we have to go? And who are the evil ones who hinder your yajna? And what should I do to destroy them?" "That is the place we are going to," replied Vishwamitra. "There the Lord Narayana performed tapas, and it was there that he was born as Vamana. It goes by the name of Siddhashrama." Mahabali, son of Virochana and grandson of Prahlada, the good Asura, was such a powerful ruler that of him even the Devas were afraid. Mahabali had by his deeds acquired the power of Indra himself. Kashyapa and his spouse Aditi, of whom all the gods were offsprings, prayed to Vishnu and begged him to be born as their son and protect Indra and the Devas from Mahabali. In answer to their prayers, Vishnu was born of Aditi as Vamana. Vamana, in the form of a young student, went to the yajna that was being performed by Mahabali, and whereto all were welcome, to ask for and receive anything they wanted. All he begged for was 3 paces of ground as paced by him. The monarch smiled as he looked at the diminutive brahmachari's legs and said, "So be it. Pace and take it." The little bachelor suddenly grew in size into Trivikrama, and with one step measured the earth, and with another the entire heavens. And there being no room left for the 3rd step that had been granted, he set his foot on Mahabali's devoted head. In the eyes of God, the head of a bhakta is as wide as the earth or the heavens. And Mahabali, whose head was blessed by the touch of Narayana's foot, became one of the 7 immortals of the world. After narrating the story of Mahabali, Vishwamitra added, "This is where at first Narayana and later Kashyapa performed tapas, resulting in the incarnation of God as Vamana. In this holy place I live, and here the Rakshasas come and obstruct our worship and our austerities." Getting up very early the next morning, the princes went to Vishwamitra and asked when the Rakshasas were expected, so that they might hold themselves in readiness to receive them. Vishwamitra was under a vow of silence and could not answer, but the rishis, his juniors, told the princes that they should be ceaselessly vigilant for 6 nights and days to safeguard the sacrifice. On the morning of the 6th day, Rama told Lakshmana, "Brother, now is the time for the enemies to come. Let us be wary." Even as he was saying this, flames shot up from the sacrificial fire, for Shri Agni, the god of fire, knew that the Rakshasas had arrived. Rama looked up and saw Maricha and Subahu and their followers. The army of Rakshasas covered the sky like a great black cloud. Rama and Lakshmana together fought Maricha. With the Agnya Yastra, Rama killed Subahu, and then the 2 princes utterly destroyed the entire army of Rakshasas. The sky was bright again. The next day, Rama and Lakshmana, after their morning prayers, went to Vishwamitra and asked for further orders. The purpose of Rama's birth was not unknown to sage Vishwamitra, and he knew, too, the powers of the weapons he had given to Rama. The rishis assembled there said to Rama, "We intend to proceed to the kingdom of Videha, where in the capital city of Mithila, Janaka, the illustrious philosopher king, intends to perform a great sacrifice. All of us are going there, and it will be good if you and the prince, your brother, accompany us." So it was decided. Rama and Lakshmana went with sage Vishwamitra to King Janaka's city. Janaka, king of Mithila, was an ideal ruler. He was a much revered friend of Dasharatha, who, when he planned his yajna for progeny, sent not mere messengers, but ministers to Mithila to invite King Janaka. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna cites Janaka as an illustrious example of the karma yogi. Janaka was thus worthy to be the father of Shri Sita, who was to be the wife of Shri Vishnu come down to earth in human form.
Sahaj side note. In New Delhi, India, in the 1978, Sri Mataji talks about King Janaka, saying that Prophet Muhammad was the incarnation of King Janaka from Ramayana. His sons, Hassan and Hussein, who were killed in the battle of Karbala, were no one else but Sita's sons, Love and Kush, who were later on incarnated as Shri Mahavira and Shri Buddha.
Desiring to perform a yajna, King Janaka once ploughed the chosen site. As the field was being cleared and levelled, King Janaka saw among shrubs a baby divinely beautiful. King Janaka was childless and accepted the infant as the goddess Earth's gift to him. This loveliness was Shri Sita in her entirety. Kamban would have it that Shri Sita's beauty threw into shade Shri Lakshmi herself, who came up with nectar as the ocean of milk was being churned. This child of divine beauty was brought up by King Janaka and his dear queen. When Shri Sita reached the age of marriage, King Janaka was sad that he would have to part with her. Though he tried hard, he was unable to choose a prince worthy of Shri Sita. Long ago, pleased with the yajna performed by Janaka, Varuna presented to him Rudra's bows and 2 quivers. That was an ancient heavily bow, which no ordinary man could even move. This was kept by him as an honoured heirloom, since only a very exceptional man could be considered worthy of Shri Sita. King Janaka issued this proclamation: "Sita, my daughter, will be given in marriage to the prince who can lift, bend, and string the bow of Lord Shiva, which Varuna gave me and to none other." Many princes who had heard of Shri Sita's beauty went to Mithila, only to return disappointed. None could fulfill the condition. All arrangements for King Janaka's yajna had been completed, and to Mithila had come many rishis and Brahmins from various kingdoms. Vishwamitra and the princes were duly welcomed. King Janaka's preceptor, Satananda, was the first to pay honour to Vishwamitra. King Janaka followed him. The king said to the sage, "I am indeed blessed that you should attend my yajna." Pointing to Rama and Lakshmana, King Janaka asked Vishwamitra, "Who are these godlike youths who resemble each other and carry their weapons with the proud ease of seasoned warriors? Who is the happy father of such sons?" Vishwamitra told Janaka that they were sons of King Dasharatha. He narrated how they had protected his own yajna and destroyed the Rakshasas. "They have come here," the sage went on, "to see, if they may, the great bow of Rudra in your palace." King Janaka understood the meaning of Vishwamitra's words and rejoiced. The king said, "The prince is welcome to see the bow. If he can string it, he will win the hand of my daughter." Many were the princes who saw this bow and went back, unable even to move it. I shall indeed be happy if this prince succeeds where so many have failed, and I am therefore enabled to give Sita to him. King Janaka then ordered his men to bring the bow, which was kept safe and sacred in an iron box. It was brought on an 8-wheeled carriage and dragged like a temple chariot during a festival. "Here," Janaka said, "is Rudra's bow, worshipped by me and my ancestors. Let Rama see this bow." After obtaining permission from sage Vishwamitra and the king, Rama stepped out to the iron bow case, while all eyes were fixed on him in wishful expectation. Opening the box, he lifted the bow effortlessly, as if it were a garland of flowers, and resting one end of it against his toe, he bent and strung it, and drew the string back with such irresistible force that the mighty bow snapped with a crash like a clap of thunder. And there fell from heaven a shower of flowers.
Sahaj side note, Athens, Greece, 1993. Shri Mataji explained that all the kings and kings of very great nations were sitting there. And one of them was Ravana. Ravana lifted the bow a little bit, but it fell on him, and it just fell down. So Sita laughed at it. And so Shri Rama came, picked the bow, he put the arrow, and won Sita's hand, and then she garlanded him.
Janaka proclaimed, "My beloved daughter shall be wedded to this prince." Vishwamitra said to King Janaka, "Send your swiftest messengers to Ayodhya to give the news to King Dasharatha and invite him." King Janaka's messengers reached Ayodhya in 3 days. They met King Dasharatha, who was seated like Indra on his throne, and said to him, "Sage Vishwamitra and King Janaka have sent you happy news. Your son who came to Mithila has won our Princess Sita by fulfilling the conditions set for her hand. He not only strung Rudra's bow, which none before could so much as lift, but bent it till it broke. King Janaka eagerly awaits your gracious consent for the marriage, and your presence and blessing at the festivities. May it please you to start for Mithila with your retinue." King Dasharatha, who had sent Rama with sage Vishwamitra with a heart not altogether free from anxiety, even after the sage's assurance, was thrilled with joy on hearing this good news. He told his ministers to prepare for the journey and left the very next day for King Janaka's capital. King Dasharatha and his following reached Mithila and were received with enthusiastic welcome. Exchange of courtesies over, King Janaka said to King Dasharatha, "My yajna will soon be over. I think it best to have the marriage as soon as the yajna is over." and sought his approval. King Dasharatha replied, "You are the bride's father, and it is for you to order things as you wish." At the appointed day and hour, giving away the bride, King Janaka said to Rama, "Here is my daughter Sita, who will ever tread with you the path of Dharma." Thus, Sita and Rama were married.